YouTube Master 1 with a deck that you should not play. Do not play this deck. It is toxic. You actually cannot play it. Are you ready? Hajime.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
All right, on our journey of getting Master 1, I'm going to show you a nice little trick here. This is a legal cheating trick where we know a card in the opponent's hand. We know that they have in their hand an Ash Blossom. There you go, it's right there. So we're playing against Tier Limit, and there's an Ash Blossom in their hand. So how do we know there's an Ash Blossom in the hand as we're going to Master 1? Well, pay attention. So we're going to normal summon the Alubur. Their field is going to light up here. So I use this frequently on stream when I'm dueling. I'm going to check for their field lighting up, and it's going to give me some information. It tells me they have a Veiler, they have an Imperm very likely, or they have an Ash Blossom. But if they had an Imperm or Veiler, this isn't actually an ideal use of your Imperm or Veiler. So with them not using the Imperm or Veiler and the Alubur actually resolving, that tells me most likely they just held on to an Ash Blossom, which they do have in their hand right here. So now that I know that they have Ash Blossom, what I could very easily do with the Thrust is set a Fusion Duplication from the deck to then copy the Fusion from the graveyard during the opponent's turn. But we're going to go even spicier. We're going to play around the Ash completely. So we're going to add a Brandon Red. What the heck? Sure. Albion sent from the deck an opening to give us Destruction Protection onto our Fusion monsters. We're going to use Brandon High Spirits again. The field lights up. I know that that's an Ash Blossom, but they're not going to negate a Brandon High Spirits. We're going to add a Cartesia here, and then we're going to special summon our Cartesia since the Albion's in the graveyard, and then we're going to link off into Anaconda. So with the Anaconda, you cannot use Ash Blossom as we copy the effect of Branded Fusion. So we're going to send Branded Fusion from the deck to the graveyard, come forth and summon from the extra deck, Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is here, and then they're going to just surrender. So we know that they have Ash Blossom in the hand, surrenders it up, so otherwise you would not know, but now you know. This mad lad got the hail out of here as soon as I played around that Ash Blossom, and you do want to sometimes just feel it out and then go for a different play. All right, this is why the deck got banned. I did not know that Gimmick Puppet was going to get banned. I chose to play this deck to get Master 1, and you're going to see why this is the most toxic deck. Why did this deck get banned? I was going to add a Quem from the deck, sending our Albion, chaining to its effect to send itself to the graveyard. We're going to use the Retribution with the Quem to add from the graveyard back to our hand a Branded Loss, which we sent from the deck to the grave. Now we're going to get Max Seed. I still do not want to get Ash Blossom, so I'm very easily just going to play through the Max Seed. And I believe if you Max C me, you deserve to get locked. Yes? No? Is that fair? You tell me. We're going to go straight for the Albion under the Max Seed. Normally, you'd be going for your Albion Dragon into a Mirror Jade, but we're not doing that because of Max C. We're going to add back the Cartesia, and then I'm going to tell you some tricks for the Branded Loss. So you do want to pay attention to this. You need your Branded Loss to be on Chainlink 1 with your Fusion spell. So instead of firing off right away Albion to summon a puppet onto their field before we even have a puppet in our graveyard, by the way, you want to activate a Fusion effect, and then you could, in response to that, you can get your Fusion, you can get your puppet into the graveyard, and then in response to the Fusion summon, you can activate Albion. So if this Branded Red resolves, they cannot respond to you in any way whatsoever. So we're going to grab the Albion, but it also just baited out a Call by the Grave. So instead, I'm going to Fusion Duplication. Now, there is a situation where you want to be setting up your puppet summon onto their field or making any plays whatsoever while you're under the protection of the Branded Loss. And this is an instance where we do not have the protection of Branded Lost. We're not protected. So we are going to get fingered here, and then we're going to be triggering the Quem. If we want to Reborn from the graveyard, that is, we're going to discard the Cartesia, Branded Lost, and the Quem to Reborn from the graveyard. Now, these plays are still good even with the puppet banned. We're going to grab the Albion, very good, and then we're going to Fusion Summon into our Mirror Jade. I know this is really toxic. Listen, I'm telling you to not play this deck, and you actually can't play it. So we had two options here. We could wait till the main phase to activate Cartesia on Chainlink 1, and then in response to the Fusion Summon, successful Fusion Summon, we then activate Albion to give them a puppet. I'm choosing to instead draw phase because I didn't feel out any more delays from the opponent after they Called by the Grave me, so I wasn't feeling out any BIS deals or an additional Call by the Grave. But to be safer, you could allow the opponent to make the first play with the main phase 1, and then ensure that you are Chainlink 1 Cartesia to Fusion Summon to then give you that protection to give them the puppet, and just like that, immediately they're locked out. I know this is toxic. I know this is not good, but this is just the reality of the puppet lock and why it got banned. And this is another reason why a lot of people are starting to cope. They're like, oh, I'm going to use the Raw. I'm going to use Jaugen. I'm going to use a Requiem. What just happened here? We lost our card. You know, it popped a Dark Monster to be fair, but there's going to be ways to get rid of the new lock that you give them, which is why Gimmick Puppet Nightmare was the best one. There's not going to be a good replacement for this. This is done. And I've been seeing the channel discuss like crazy what's going to be the new lock. Nothing's going to really emerge that's going to be that good. So let's just speed this up. Come forth, Boardlord Furious. In response to Boardlord Furious, you can activate it and your opponent cannot respond to it whatsoever. We're going to, within the end phase, wipe out the back row Escape of the Unchained. It can't activate because they can't summon a non-gimmick puppet. Add back the Brandon High Spirits. Cartesia, come back to me. Albion, trigger, grab a Brandon Wipe. Now, Brandon's still going to be a very good deck, even without Puppet. So if you want to play this deck without the Puppet, you can pretty much play it exactly. We're going to negate the Spirit of Yubel, discard with Mercurier. I don't think so, mate, and then lethal damage. So this Master 1 video is just a series I want to be doing pretty much every monthly of the deck I'm using to get Master 1 with. The other month, I got Master 1 with Salman. Great, you got to see some replays of that. And this is with Branded, but now the deck is banned. Begin. Centurion, Primera. Christie is also something we could summon on our own side of the field, yes? Let's speed this up. Going to set up as the back row. We are showcasing some Centurion with Fiendsmith, how that's going to be the new way to go into Centurion 1. Fiendsmith Engraver, go into the full Centurion combo. Setting up the Phalanx, and now back to us. Going to equip into the back row, sure. Now, we know that their cards are only activatable from the back row within the main phase. So if we can make any plays within the draw phase, ideally, we're going to be doing that. So we're going to Brand Opening. Maxi Chain, sure. Very easy finger. Finger the Fool. You're not going to be drawing per special summon. So let's discard on Resolution. I'm going to be discarding the Tragedy, which is discarded by card effect here. Summoning from the deck a Quem. Also triggering the Tragedy, add the Alubur. So we have some options here. We have the first play in the main phase. We know that a Centurion player is waiting for you to do something minimal. The most minimal thing I could do is to attempt to end my main phase or set a card in the back row, and with their toggle on, they're going to start summoning. So I could fire off right away a Fallen Albaz, or with the Albaz in the graveyard, I could wait for the Quem to trigger off of them, making a monster leave the extra deck to then summon it, so I could still normal summon my Alubur instead of special summoning the Fallen Albaz from the hand. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to special summon Cartesia instead. Okay, Primera and the Trudea are going to start triggering, not triggering, but activate the special summon. That will trigger the field spell. Primera is going to be chain link blocked from us Ash Blossoming it. Not that we wanted to even do that if we had an Ash Blossom, sure. Further Shoconning into the Crimson Dragon. And now we're going to get the Guiding Quem. But this is where things get a little hairy here. As we trigger the Quem to reborn the Albaz, they're going to use the Crimson Dragon, which what I'm thinking is they're going to summon a Blazar Dragon, right? Blazar Dragon negates Fallen Albaz. The number one thing you should always think about if they have a Baron de Floor or a negate is how do we chain link block the negate? How do we make their negate miss the timing? Well, I'm thinking if Albaz is going to activate on summon, all I have to do is trigger something else that will activate with the Albaz and put it on a higher chain link. Well, with the Cartesia, I could go into a Grand Granule. Grand Granule could be a higher chain link than the Albaz, and then it's going to protect it from being negated by a Blazar. But then he doesn't summon a Blazar. Uh-oh. All right. Grand Granule to chain link block the Fallen Albaz. And by the way, both effects of the Grand Granule are going to be activating here. So we're going to be using its effects first, Albaz, and then chain link block it. And I'm thinking, is he really going to banish my field of just Albaz? Because I'm going to banish the Gangrenol to summon a monster from the deck or extra deck. He's going to discard the Albaz to force the activation of the Supernova Dragon. And now, even though I chain link blocked my Albaz, it does not matter. He's going to chain to the Gangrenol to banish our entire field. So we had the idea to chain link block the Blazar Dragon, which maybe my opponent was smart enough to know that I was doing that. And that's why he summoned a Supernova Dragon instead, possibly. Wipe out the field. You don't have to negate Albaz. If you could just get it off the field, destroy it, banish it, it will not resolve in a fusion summon. It's going to summon a Caritis from the extra deck here, and let's see what we can further do. We have the Garura to draw a card, because I'm going to plan on discarding a card here for our Lubellian Dragon. Branded Fusion, send from the deck. If you're wondering how to play Branded, because you want to play the deck yourself, even after Puppet's being banned, the best use of Branded Fusion is you have another dark monster on the field, hand, or grave, any dark monster. And then you activate Branded Fusion to send a Lubellion and an Albaz, because you want to keep your Albion on the field, because you're going to fuse with that other dark monster, which normally will be an Alubur, and then you're going to use it with the Albaz to make a Lubellion. And the reason we want to keep the Albion on the field is because we want to send it to the graveyard without having to use the effect of our Mirror Jade. So we're going to make our Lubellion, discard a card, Fusion Summon into Mirror Jade. The main way to trigger the Albion to search for a card during the end phase is using the Mirror Jade to send it from the action deck to the graveyard to trigger it during the end phase, but then we're locked out of using Mirror Jade to banish a card in the field for 2 turns. And that's not what we want to be doing, ideally. So with the Albion on the field, there's 2 ways to get in the graveyard mainly, which are going to be a Cartesia to fuse it in the grave, and the main way being Lubellion. If you have the Branded in white, that's another way to get it into the graveyard, but we don't have that. So now he's going to use the Phalanx. He knows that I want to get my Albion into the graveyard through the Lubellion to then set up a Branded Loss, so he's going to use a Phalanx to banish it off the field. Okay, I'm going to Mirror Jade, send another Albion to the graveyard, sure, banish it, and let's get to it. Unfortunately, not lethal damage here, sure. And my thrust, I could have thrusted a Branded in white to my hand, and potentially something we could have done here, but maybe would have been susceptible to potentially hand trap. Instead, I'm thinking the puppet, which is going to get banned. So do not do this at home. You actually do have limited time to do this. It's not going to be banned yet. So Cartesia is going to trigger, add back to the hand. We have the Branded Banishment, and let's go. He's going to chain the Emblema Oath, which we do not care about, as the main ways to get the puppet into the graveyard, or your other way if you want to now be sending other cards. Maybe you want to send an Arc Jet Lightcraft potentially to lock them into machine-type monsters only. We are going to use Lubellion. By using Lubellion, we could send a dark monster, or you could summon an Albion to send a light monster from the deck instead. We're now gonna, with the Lubellion, fusing into the Sanctifier Dragon. Sanctifier Dragon is going to very easily give them the puppet. And this dude's like, it's okay, I can still special summon. No, you can't. And that's it. Just like that, my puppet is banned. You're gone. Can't special summon. Summons this, realizes he can't actually synchro. You think a level 8 puppet, that's good. 8 plus our level 4 tuner, we get to synchro with that? No, you can't. You're out. Thus, this is why the puppet was banned. Deployment, chain max C. Is it fair to puppet someone if they max C you? Yes or no? I think so. Because that's kind of what I've been abiding by. If they max C me, I make it my mission to puppet my opponent. Sorry. You're gonna max C me, you don't get to cry about the puppet. So we're gonna be adding the Branded Fusion, return back the Branded Red, and now my goal is to set up that puppet. We're gonna summon the Albion Sanctifier, come forth, and you can still have fun with this until it gets banned. We're gonna add a Mercurier, which will give us protection from if they were to use a monster effect like a Bestial, we can now Mercurier. And the focus of the Albion is you can't super poly it, it can't be targeted, and if I use the Branded Lost with my Cartesia to make it so you can't respond to our Fusion Summon, then we're going to, in response to our Fusion Summon, give you the puppet. So let's see what I do. I'm waiting. Now, I can only use Cartesia because he's choosing to end the main phase. So you would think a lot of people, draw phase the Albion, you get fingered. If they preempt the finger, then we chain to the finger. We're gonna make this unfingerable, unbestialable, and let's see their hand actually. Evenly matched. So he wants to evenly match us. What else do you have here? Purely, Happy Memory, Sleepy Memory, Sleepy Memory, Sleepy Memory, and a Call by the Grave. The dude's got the finger. He's got a finger for my puppet. He's got a finger, he's got an evenly matched, but I have the perfect play where he can't finger me and he can't evenly match me because we played this perfectly. If you were to screw this up, you were to activate the Albion in the draw phase, bad play, don't do that. So only now, with the puppet's now in the graveyard, by the way, so only now he'd be able to finger it, by the way. We have the Branded Loss, which we're going to, in response to our own Fusion Summon, making sure that the Cartesia is on Chain Link 1. I know for this replay specifically, we couldn't have done it in the draw phase, but if you were to still wanted to do it in the draw phase where you do have Puppet in the graveyard, you don't want to do it for this reason, because they did have the Call by the Grave. Now, we Albion. Now, he fingers me, but he can't. The finger is illegal. You cannot finger me. Not today. Evenly match. an amazing purely hand. Call by the Grave, but with Branded Lost, I don't think so. And this is what we're doing towards getting Master 1. Fusion Deployment. Now, what I really hate about Fusion Deployment is Anaconda is a great way to play around in Ash Blossom, and Fusion Deployment locks you in a Fusion Monsters only. Also, Branded Opening locks you in a Fusion Monsters only. So if you want to make a play around in Ash Blossom, this is not going to be the way to do it. Summon a Cartesia. Cartesia's main purpose is to dodge a targeting effect. If you're going to Veil or if you're going to Imperm, you use Cartesia to dodge the negate. Send for the deck and Albaz, and this plays around a Ash anyway. So even with Branded Fusion being limited to 1, we could do this instead. So I add back with the Branded in red, but I don't Fusion Summon. I instead fuse the Cartesia to ensure that they go to the graveyard, and now we could use the Quem to reborn the Cartesia, and Albion to fuse with the Albaz, and we had a pretty good play despite not having a Branded Fusion, and if you had Branded Fusion, you would just get Ash Blossom. So let's see if they have Ash Blossom even in their hand. Cash Katira, Samsara, evenly, oh my gosh. Double evenly matched? Huh? Okay. Yep, yeah, we're getting evenly. Sure, that sucks. I did not have, yeah, okay, that happens. We're gonna send Albion to banish that off the field, and then the Mad Lad further cooks on, and this is actually my rank up duel, I believe. This is the duel I need to rank up. So it may not be that flashy, but if I win this, we master 1. Let's see. Light Heart, grabbing the field spell grab. Right card, gonna be searching for the Arrival. Come to me. Rival reborning the Scareclaw Cashier from the graveyard. And I'm gonna show you a replay at Rated Duels. A Rated Duel replay. Yeah. So we have Mirror Jade activating to wipe out the field during the end phase. He's gonna chain Little Knight, and he's trying to pass priority on the Little Knight so it does not come back in the end phase, but I'm also gonna pass. Thus, he comes out, I wipe out the field, Albion add to us a Branded Fusion. With that set evenly matched, you up, mate? Off the top of the deck, we're going to get freaking negated by an Ash Blossom, which he drew off the top of his deck. Did not have it in his opening hand. Damn. So I'm just ending. This is not the greatest replay, but it is my Master 1 game. All right, off the top of the deck, we have Brand High Spirits. We have the Fallen Albaz, which are going to send the Titan-clad to grab an Albion Shrouded Dragon here. I'm going to now send from the deck a Retribution, add back our Branded Fusion. So I was thinking I could go into the Kit. Kit could add back Branded Fusion, but then I have to return a card back on the deck. Instead, the Albion's going to draw and add. So it's much better than returning back to the hand a card that you add back. We're going to now be making our Lubellion, send for the deck, the Tragedy here. Come forth, discard, Tragedy trigger. We have not committed to our normal summon yet. It's a little bit of a grind game of playing Branded here if you want to play this without Puppet. We're going to just banish that off the field. Come forth, Alubur into the Branded in white, which could banish using the graveyard. And just like that, we now got Master 1. And then I'm going to show you my first duel within the rating replays, the rating duels. Okay. Albion, Shrouded Dragon, we are now in rating duels. So lose it all, Master 1, we are in our beginner duelist at rating duels, sure. Gonna Psyframe Gear Gamma, negate and destroy my Albion in rating duels. Not rating duels like of you, but sure. Negate my ability to draw a card, that's all you negated. It's an Upstart Goblin, you negate Upstart. I still get a card from my deck into the graveyard. I do have my Albaz in the grave, okay? Now, what else do we have here? I have Cartesia, special summonable because we have an Albaz in the graveyard. Alubur, Veiler. So when I say the Cartesia's for, Cartesia is for dodging the effect Veiler. So this dude's just thinking. His flow chart is not really that correct. He's not thinking correctly. He's thinking, Alubur, I must Veiler, but Cartesia's going to dodge it. There you go. We're going to get Fused. Now, let me see what my opponent's even playing. He has a Samsara D-Lotus, another D-Lotus, and an Impermanence. So he Imperm blocked himself by using an early Gamma for no reason. And this is why I tell people, now I believe it's a beginner duelist, if you're new or returning to Master Duel, play the newest, best deck. It's gonna carry you. I'm not saying this is the case for this player, but it does look like Yubel potentially carried this player to Master 1 without any effort needed. that's just the case. Ubel is that good. So we got to stop recommending things like Salamangreat to new players. It's okay to recommend Sword Soul only because it's free. They get it for free if they use someone's code, and they got it for free. But don't tell them to invest in something that's not top tier, new, best deck. And just like that, that was my first duel within rating duels. If we go on to Master Duel meta, we will see on the tier list, we have under the power rankings, branded as tier 2. The deck is played at 60 cards. On tournament only mode, 60 cards. You should play the deck at 60 cards, but I like being different. I do not like 60 cards. It is good to use a triple tactics thrust grabbing a grass looking greener. You ought to win if you ever open up a grass looking greener. It's nuts, it's great. So I shrunk my deck down to 40 cards. But again, do not play this deck because Puppet's getting banned, but you should still maybe play Branded itself without the Puppet. So if I were to show you a deck list without Puppet, before I show you my deck list, let's do this. Let's type in Puppet, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, and we're gonna type in no Puppet. Click on not using Puppet. So here we go. We have a 40 card branded deck without Puppet, with Allure of Darkness and Maxi, room for Maxi and Allure of Darkness. This is a wild looking deck. This is not even really a branded deck. This is like a Bestial branded. That's interesting. Here is a more standard way to play branded with 60 cards here without Puppet. Again, without Puppet. And then the deck I played. Boom. This is the deck I played. I played 40, but you should play 60. I played no hand traps whatsoever because I don't have room for it and I just want board breakers. This doesn't count as a hand trap because it's not usable unless you have an Albaz Fusion in the field. Again, you should play 60, but I play it like this. Triple Super Poly, triple Thrust, triple Dark Lord No More. I gave my reasoning on why Evenly is not better than Dark Lord No More against a deck like Ubel. Evenly is better against Snake Eye Fire King than Dark Lord No More, but I'm mostly seeing Ubel players, and I'd rather Dark Lord No More negate that Apollo USA, and then it also does take out the Phantom of Ubel, which the Evenly also does. But then I'm not dealing with an Apollo and a Soul Rage, which is potentially 5 to 6 disruptions. So the Evenlys, and then you also don't have your battle phase. Your main phase 2, they have 5 to 6 disruptions after your Evenly. I'd much rather Dark Lord No More. And Dark Lord No More, Centurion's kind of popular at the higher ranks too for some reason. Dark Lord No More onto the Blazar Dragon, the Supernova is pretty good. So instead of the Evenly being negated by the Blazar Dragon, which is a problem. And there you go. This is a lot of fun, and I do think the deck is still going to be good without the Puppet, but it's just no longer going to be toxic. So there you go. My Master 1 deck list. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Every month I'm going to be whipping out a different Master 1 deck list and doing a quick review on how the deck plays to hopefully inspire you to want to play it. But in this instance, to not play it. Do not play this. Let's go.